We're waiting to get some oral feedback. I want to hear myself so that I know that we're actually online. We are. Good. So, this is... where are we? This is my main video camera. It's a Canon 800D with a giant custom battery pack, and this thing does all sorts of things very well. However, there's one issue. Turn it on. We don't have a battery indicator. That is entirely broken because Canon's battery DRM prevents you from having a capacity reading on a non-genuine battery, and given the charging input looks like that and the power switch does nothing, you can imagine this isn't quite the original Canon battery pack. So I have in the past constructed a solution for that. I think I made a quick video about it. This is an analog battery indicator circuit which lights up and scales pretty well from green to red, going from 8.4 volts down to about 6.5. So if we put that kind of in the shade, that's very difficult. So now we're putting in 8.2 volts, you can see it's green, and we turn that right down to 6.6 volts and it turns red. So this hooked up to a 2-cell lithium-ion battery pack, as the one we've got in the Canon camera, is going to give a decent battery status indicator. So there's going to be a bit of a challenge trying to actually physically fit that inside this pack, because it's very, very crowded in there. And for starters, we're going to try and just get this off because this locking mechanism is kind of broken. If I can't get this off right now, we're going to have to abort the stream actually. But it seems to be coming out. And there we go. So this is the battery pack itself. Let's give you guys a bit more exposure. There we go. This is like a cheap eBay battery pack that I modified to take 2 lithium cells. And it's very crammed inside. And we're going to take it apart, of course, because we need to access all the pieces. And boy, this thing does not come apart as easily as I remembered. I kind of put it together with no regard for the future, actually. But it's going to be an interesting teardown anyway. People are showing up in the chat saying, hello, giant, huh? Interesting, crude, simple solution. Station 240, who said, giant, huh? I will raise you the fact that this is the biggest battery pack available for the Canon 800D, because it doesn't even have a battery grip. Only as of recently can you buy one from China, and that one only takes 2 of the original Canon batteries, whereas this one takes, this one has a 40 watt hour LiPo pack inside, and that's literally as much battery as you can physically fit inside this thing. I've even ground a bunch of pieces off. If you've seen the video on it, you know what I'm talking about. This thing is very jammed full of lithium. Now I'm hoping we're going to be able to get away with just taking the battery slot, the battery adapter part out, because ripping further into this thing is challenging. And if you think that the lighting is weird in here, that's because it is. We're actually using 2 different color temperature lights right now, because I've got 2 old Philips TVs lighting me from behind. You can see there's a very cool color temperature, like 8000K lighting that side of my hand. But if I do that, we have a 4000K fluorescent light coming from the top. So it's going to make some perhaps a bit trippy color effects. I need to keep track of these screws because they're a bit tricky. So this I'm not remembering at all how to get this thing apart. I think we actually need to take this whole plate off, which does entail kind of destroying some of the tape holding the fluffy pad in place. I think there's a couple of screws in this end somewhere. I don't remember where there's one. There should be one more in the other side. There we go. Out you come. And now I think this mechanism should just, just the plate lifts off. There we go. Plate comes off, and now we should be able to liberate this without... Oh, there's another screw. Once we undo all the screws, we should be able to liberate this without any major drama. There we go. So, of course it's full of foam just to keep everything nice and tightly together, and everything down here is lithium cell. So this whole entire thing is full of lithium cell. Oh, let's not break our wiring then. So we need to somehow fit this stuff as well as a button in here. Now I'm thinking we can probably mangle them in right by the charging connector, or on the side here. Now when I hold this, I usually hold the camera like so, so having it on the side there is going to be a bit of an issue. You will want to hold it vertically. Let's see, how's it working? Yeah, I'll hold it like that vertically, so we really do want to have it somewhere around here, because this is obviously going to be triggered by a small button, which I need to scrounge up right now, because I don't remember where I put the buttons. And if I were a more clever man, I would have actually found the buttons before starting the live stream, because this could take a moment. I know that my buttons are in a random bag, in a random box. Oh no, found them. That's a miracle. Buttons. So these are just a generic clicky type buttons. Not really the best for the application, but they'll do. They have a long enough dick to stick out decently. There, so I think we might have enough space to... Jeez, focus. Focus. Good boy. So I think we might have enough space to get one of these buttons, as well as the 5mm dual color LED stuck in there quite neatly. We want to have the LED on that side, because when you're pushing the button, you're going to be holding onto the grip like so, so your thumb would otherwise be covering it up. In fact, I'd kind of want to have the LED over here somewhere. So let's actually take this metal mounting plate off and see if we can possibly fit the LED where the power button is. Like, this power button doesn't have any actual switch within it, because it was going on the PCB and there's no space for the PCB anymore in this thing. Yeah, we could just drill a hole like somewhere over there, because when I push, like, I want to push it like that, and it would be very handy to have it light up over there. So apart it comes. Let's take a moment to read the chat, because I haven't quite been keeping up. Someone said that they didn't notice the weird lighting because the white balance corrected it. That's true, I have corrected for the white balance, but since we have two different colors of light coming down here, that's Still not really good enough. Someone says, if I were building this, I'd want something more complex like a bar graph or LCD with battery protection and balancing. Well, go ahead and fit that in here. I would love to have your design, because this thing really is incredibly tight. Which of these screws do I need to undo to get this thing to pop out? Probably that one. Let's see, yeah, there we go. This battery does have a protection circuit, but that's all it has, no balancing or anything, not really needed. So... back to studio so I see what I'm doing. We do have a fair amount of space here by the button. Oh dear, that's cracked right in two. That's great because that's one of the mains for the metal plate holding the whole camera in place. That's no fun. I would rather that wouldn't have cracked. But yeah, if we just get rid of the sliding mechanism that used to be a power switch, I think we might be able to fit an LED there. Now, the problem making it so tight is because we have this big wheel assembly there, but it only covers up half of the power button, so I think we can do it reasonably tidy anyway. Where are my tools of violence? There they are. Oh god, the lighting in here is so weird. Like, I've taken down one of my rear lights because I'm moving shop soon, and just to test fit these TV panels, and it's just making everything that's not the bench basically pitch black. So it's very trippy just looking around and seeing this incredibly bright spot right here, and while sitting in basically a darkened room. So that's looking pretty good. I don't mind that. So we need to be able to fit a 5mm LED through there. I think I'll go grab the Dremel and just kind of monger a hole in there. So I'll be back in a second. I have a good tool already attached for that. So we all want to get it as far over there as possible. You guys still need more exposure. There we go. That looks good to me. Jeez, that's a really slow shutter speed. Oh well. No, that looks horrible. Maybe we can add some more light. Bring in some extras. Yeah, my lighting in here is just so horribly bad right now. These are 2700K LEDs, so we have just a giant spectrum of light coming down on it. Helps if you turn up the power. Why is this not working? Oh, because I've actually unplugged my power there. Now, let there be noise. Ah, that's full of dust. That's probably killing everyone's ears. I'm going to mute it for the next run. Still need a bit more, so I'm going to mute myself now. Am I muted? I don't think I'm muted. Why is this not muting? This is supposed to mute everything. That's really weird. The mute function is not working, so I'll just do it on the PC. Goodbye. There we go. That's a hole fit for a king. This thing is really full of glass fibre reinforcement, so I'm going to have hell to pay for doing that without gloves. Let's just clean that hole up slightly with a file, because that looks well defiled. Ha! That's pretty okay. So now we need to add a hole for this button. I think we can do that quite well with just a normal small battery powered drill, which is missing a key component, so I'll be back in a sec. Fresh of a charger. So we're gonna also need an actual drill. I have no idea what the diameter of that button is going to be. There's a 2.5mm, which is way too small. I actually do have a 3 and 3.5 on this, so let's do 3.5 right away. We really don't want the hole to be any larger than necessary, and that's pretty much spot on there. Very little overlap. Excellent. So that's our hole size for that particular button. So where do we want that? It's difficult to estimate how you're actually holding the camera. So this is how I usually hold it. When I'm shooting video, I'll usually hold it like that. So my thumb is really never portraits. I do that way. So yeah, I notice the palm, whatever this part of my hand is called, is going to go kind of around the corner of a battery pack there, so we really don't want it like right on the corner. We have to put it by the charging input there, because else it's just going to get depressed by accident, and that's going to be annoying. So let's just do it there. Yeah, there. That's good. That's perfect. The rubberized finish is actually making a little bit of a grommet around that. That's probably a good thing. Need to kind of clean that out. Oh, that doesn't look suggestive at all, does it? Oh, foam coming out. How is this going to look? Do I need to? I need to clean that up a bit better. There's too much plastic debris in the way. It is being buffered. No, the rubber is kind of gripping onto the bottom there. That has the advantage of giving it a much better feel, but I'm not sure if we can be able to get a good mount there. Like if the rubber has enough play to actually allow the button to actuate. Yeah, it seems that the button can actuate. Now, do you want it to protrude really far? Or do we want it to just be a little bit of a nudge? I kind of don't want it to protrude too far, because that would be annoying. In fact, it barely needs to protrude at all. But that makes it quite tricky to try and mount it, since we get such a big spacing in between there. Now it's possible to just put epoxy. I know you can't even put epoxy because there's a button there. Yeah, we actually kind of end up in the position where we don't have a choice. We really need to have this button flat up against there, because else it basically becomes impossible to mount. The button's so thick that the rubber just depresses it all the time, so we need to get rid of the rubber right around there, so we can't have our nice little accidental grommet. It needs to go. Snippety, snippety, snip. That's a shame. I liked the way that felt. The rubber really dampened the feel of a button, which of course is a cheap generic clicky switch, so it's not going to feel great no matter what. Maybe that's good enough, perhaps. I think we need a slightly bigger hole actually, because it's kind of catching even over plastic, so we'll just file that out a bit. How's that? Button is getting depressed right as it's making the final attachment, so ever so slightly more filing. Maybe cut a little bit of the rubber out still. Yeah, that could be a problem. There's a bit of rubber in there. There we go. I think this is going to be good. We really don't want to put ourselves at risk of this button getting accidentally depressed forever, because no one likes depression. But I think that's good. Now the question is, how do we actually mount this proper? Epoxy is one way, but that's not very stream friendly. We do have a little screw thingy there, but I don't think that's going to be durable enough. I think we have little choice but to epoxy the button in actually, if I even have any epoxy. I have had some in the past, yeah. I have generic quick epoxy, so we'll apply that based on the last thing we do, because we still need to kind of fit all of this circuitry in here in a decent, reasonable way. So I think we want to shrink wrap is going to be too inflexible, so I'm going to Kapton tape around the circuitry there so that it doesn't short out against anything. I think our lead lengths are pretty good. Oh shit, we need to figure out a way to actually hook onto the battery as well. That's a bit annoying because we're basically relegated to connecting onto the charging lead there. That's always hot, so we have good battery voltage there, but that also means that we're soldering on a rather tight circuit board by an active lithium-ion battery. In fact, we're waving this metal rod around and we're almost shorting out our lithium-ion battery right now, so that's not a very good thing. So we need to swap tips on this guy, and my tip replacement tool is not lost forever. There we go. I want to have just the tiniest tip for this, since it's rather a tight fit in there. So we need to cut our wires to length as well. You know, we could, to help mounting, we could just solder one leg of a button to this PCB, because then the pressure when you push the button would be going into the solder joint of the PCB and offloading the epoxy. Now this is only attached with epoxy as well, so that's just kind of not helping really, but I think we're going to do that anyway. So I'm going to cut the leg to... this is not too fun to work with since it's so incredibly tight. And there's a live lithium battery involved. Do you think that's the way we're going to do it? Oh, that is the way we're going to do it. I've decided now, so I'm just going to kind of kink this into a roughly correct shape. We want it out a bit and then bend like so. So I'm going to try and solder that onto the middle piece there. I want some small solder because we really don't want to short this out, because we have many an amp behind this. Ah god, this is terrifying. I don't like soldering live lithium at all, especially not when we have some wiring right there which could have a tendency to just kind of boink somewhere and also short out. So this is arguably not a... Yeah, there we shorted it out already. Made a spark with a soldering iron. Let's hope we didn't ruin the protection circuit there. Oh, I think we have like... There are 3 pins on this connector. I think it's connecting between... I think the negative is both on both the outside traces, and our positive is in the middle, so that's just making everything great. And there's like epoxy residue everywhere, so it's very difficult to get the solder to actually take. Come on. There we go. Okay, now we've got the solder to take where we want to. So I'm going to tin the leg of a button as well. This could all go up in smoke. That would be entertaining, but not particularly desirable. I'll try and get this button in here without actually shorting everything out. I'm going to have to cut one of those legs, one of those wires ever so slightly without shorting everything out, because that's bad. Snip. Okay. That's going to work out quite well, so let's don't short out while I'm not looking. Let's get some flux in there and see if we can make this work out. Well, that flux has been out of the tube for way too long. Lots of flux. This button really wants to short everything out. Yeah, I think I'm just going to see if I can reflow this on. There isn't quite as much solder on the button as I would like there to be. This is incredibly finicky. Incredibly finicky. Very difficult to get a thermal bridge to form. There we go. I think we did it. There isn't fire coming out of anything, so I think we're good. Where's my multimeter? I kind of want to make sure we haven't just shorted everything out and tripped the protection circuit. But I've lost my multimeter. There's my multimeter. Have we ruined everything? No. Well, you can't see that, but there's 7.8 volts there, so this is rather empty actually. Which I didn't know because I didn't have a battery meter. Right, so yeah, that's going to be on there pretty well. I don't mind that. Don't mind that too much at all. Kind of want to kink the leg in there so it pokes out a bit straighter. Yeah, that's alright. So now I want to get the LED in its proper position, and we're really not going to need a lot of length to these nuts, to these wires. That's already quite overkill, but we'll make do. There are no plans for additional electronics inside this thing for the time being, so I'm hoping it's not going to be too big of an issue having a bit too much wire poking out. I really don't want a lot of the negative one because that's getting onto a little tiny PCB there. So let's tin that in the entirely overexposed area of the screen. The red wire we're going to wrap around the other leg of the switch. The other leg of the switch. So this can this is going to poke out horribly. Oh God! No, we're not doing that. We need to mount this in a more sane manner. Something like that. There's a decent friction fit here actually, so I don't mind that. And I want it turned that way. Oh no, I don't, because it's going to catch a metal plate, so I want it lying flat. There. And this is annoying to get straight. There we go. I'll take that underneath that one. The circuit can fit neatly in there, and I do think we are able to install that now. So let's get some more flux onto the top pin of this DC input board with a lithium cell, and solder our negative lead onto that. Then we'll put our positive lead to the other side of the switch and hopefully be done. So I'm going to try very hard not to cause anything to short out. My nightmare is for the solder to just kind of drop down and short out, because that would be a bridge that's difficult to remove quickly. There will be a lot of smoke coming out of the wiring if that happens, I think. That's not soldered properly. That's soldered properly enough. Right, so if we just squeeze this on here and push the button, the LED lights. Look at that. That's excellent. And we have a pretty green light, since we have a fair amount of voltage in our pack. So that's good. I will just solder the positive wire to the other side of the switch. And mix up some epoxy and be done with it. Perhaps I can... I think it's clever to bend this leg to the side so that it can kind of be supported by the screw mount on the side. I really want to solder that in place first, if I can get it to stick where I want it to. Come on, come on. There we go. This circuit should work still. Yep, you can see the LED going on there. And I will just bend this over like so. Yeah, and this should be able to still go on. Yeah, that works. So now we'll just bathe all of this in epoxy and we're done. That went very smoothly. I was expecting this to be a lot more difficult than it actually was. Exposure down slightly. Do I have a suitable vessel for mixing epoxy? I do not. I need to find a suitable vessel for mixing epoxy. I have had a dedicated epoxy mixing piece of plastic lying around, but it seems that no longer exists. It's difficult finding a piece of plastic so disposable that you don't mind just destroying it, basically. Man. Oh, there we go. There's a very disposable piece of plastic. Straight out of a trash. Very reflective. Oh god, I'm covered in epoxy already. Let's see if this is going to play ball. You don't need that much. Not that you can see anything. I'm glad you don't have to smell this. Epoxy is one of those love-hate kind of deals. I really do not like the smell of epoxy. So we'll mix that all up. Exciting streaming action. Epoxy mixing 101. Well, this is I'm probably not doing a very good job because I'm getting tons of bubbles in this, because I'm too lazy to do it slowly. This doesn't need to be super strong. My biggest issue with these quick epoxies is they just tend to turn into kind of nothing after a while. They just fall apart. This is a brand name thing, they say. It's disappointing that it still does that. It's kept up reasonably well though, in the battery pack, since that's what's holding the charger input in place, and that is indeed still there. Man, there is a lot of bubbles in this. So many bubbles. This is a worse mixing job than usual, actually. They are not coming out. Oh well. It doesn't have to be super strong. So we'll just poke that in there. Zoom. Focus. That's focused enough. So we don't want to glue it so that the button never moves again. We just want it to stay in place. I need to kind of clamp that wire in place so that it actually has a shot at not moving everywhere. So just nip that on there. That's good. Now I'll just epoxy the wire onto that standoff, trying not to get any on top of the standoff because that's where the battery insertion adapter thing mains, and getting that in the wrong height will basically destroy everything. And we're not here to destroy everything. We are here to make things better. I so dislike epoxy. I really hope this isn't like actually attaching itself to the stem of a button, because that would be horrible. We have a decent size cube on there now, I think. Let's get some epoxy on that broken screw standoff by the LED as well, since we need to get the LED done anyway, and we have way more epoxy than we actually need. Exciting live streaming epoxy action that's so poorly exposed that you can't even see what's going on. Oh, cock. We don't need to epoxy you. And some of the LED, and we really don't want to have any on the top of the LED because this is going to mount very, very tightly against the mounting plate for the camera, so the LED really has no clearance on top at all. In fact, I don't even know it. Oh yeah, I know it's going to fit because it's slightly lower than the standoff beside it, so it's not too high, but it is very, very tight. We're talking less than a millimeter of clearance. But since the LED isn't protruding much, it doesn't need to be very firmly held in either. It just needs to be over well enough so that an accidental bump isn't going to be the end of the world. And get some on the leads there. Oh, you can't see shit, can you? You can't see shit. I'm such a great cameraman. There we go. Getting some of the leads as well, just to stop them shorting out. So we've got epoxy around the broken standoff, we've got some on the LED, we've got some holding the button in place, which is hopefully not going to cause the button to be depressed forever. Let's just clamp that tightly against there. It's getting stuck in. Maybe we don't want that tightly pressed against that. Yeah, I think it's a lot better if we just have it ever so slightly not tight against the edge of a case there. Although it is not sitting straight, so I hope I can kind of straighten that out, because it looks like shit. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So the button does protrude a bit more than I would like. It's not exactly discreet, but it's not going to be anywhere near where you'd normally touch the camera anyway, so it's pretty fine. And it works. So I think I'm going to leave you guys there. Let's check the chat out. I'm not going to assemble this before I know that everything's good, so I need to give the epoxy a while to cure, and then I'll be able to do that. So that'll be off stream. So let's check the chat out. Not a lot of stuff going on in the chat, actually. Journey Jacob says, this reminds me of those red, yellow, green dumb indicators that can come on some cheap cordless drills. Yes, but dumb indicators are good as long as they're reasonably reliable. Like, I don't want a big fancy bar graph or anything on here, because that's just not going to be productive, really. Like, to me, just seeing the color of the LED very quickly, like pressing the button going, oh, that's green, then we're good, or oh, it's red, then I need to charge this thing. That just works better for me. Like, I considered buying some little bar graph thing, but I decided against it. Solid Diagnostics says, can LED go bottom right in existing holes? Probably thinking about these, and no, because there's a lithium cell literally on the other side of those. The whole bottom part of the case is lithium cell. Yes, we do want to short it out. Imagine the extra views. Let it burn. Well, someone's TBBW says, well, we are watching the epoxy dry. Well, you're not in a moment, because I'm going to end this stream now on a high note. We got it working. I'm not going to touch that since the epoxy is curing. And, yeah, you guys, make sure you enjoy yourselves. And I've got a bunch of fun videos coming up as soon as I've got time to edit them. So, yeah. Bye.